Mylan, the manufacturer of the EpiPen, recently made headlines when it was revealed that the company had steadily increased the price of the delivery method for epinephrine, the EpiPen, by a whopping 500%. Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with what the EpiPen is used for, it's there to combat severe allergic reactions that could cause your airways to swell up and close during a severe allergic reaction. It's to stop anaphylaxis from taking over and basically killing you before you're able to go and get help. So now, of course, this EpiPen happens to be a literal life-saving tool for millions and millions of people. So when the price went up, people flipped out. So let me give you a little bit of a history on this. Now, Mylan had acquired the rights to the EpiPen in 2007. And when it acquired the rights, one EpiPen cost about $57. Now, that's still pretty pricey, right? However, since then, they've increased the price to about $600 for a pack of 2. And the thing about the EpiPens is that they need to be replaced every year. So every time, as well as every time one is used. Now, they don't sell singles, they only sell them in packs of 2. So if you use one, well, you still need to have 2. So you have to buy another pack. That's another $600. Now, because of that, a lot of parents have shown their frustration at Mylan, and even now, Congress and some of the presidential candidates are getting involved. Now, Senator Mark Wagner, Virginia Democrat, said Tuesday in a statement that, quote, "I am deeply concerned by this significant price increase for a product that has been on the market for more than 3 decades, and by Mylan's failure to publicly explain the recent cost increase, which places a significant burden on parents, schools, and other purchasers of the EpiPen." Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar, ranking member of the Senate Antitrust Committee, also asked the FTC to look into this price increase. Now, on that, she says, there does not appear to be any justification for the continual price increases of EpiPen. Manufacturing costs for the product have been stable, and Mylan does not need to recover the product's research and development costs. Not only is this alarming price increase unjustified, it puts life-saving treatment out of reach to the consumers who need it the most. Now, it's not just Democrats, it's also a Republican. Senator Chuck Grassley, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, has also questioned the increases, and both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have came out publicly and said, hey, Mylan, you need to cut the shit. Reduce your price. This is insane. Now, Mylan CEO is a woman named Heather Bresch. Now, Heather Bresch is going to come out and justify the cost by saying, no, see, this is what the market demands. This is a super fair price for such a life-saving drug. She said, quote, "Under the circumstances, I think that you can see it falls as not an expensive product." Really? Maybe not for you. And we'll get to that later, right? Maybe it's not expensive for you, but it is for the millions of Americans who either can't afford their giant deductibles with their health insurance companies or the people that have no insurance at all. To them, it's kind of fucking expensive. And the other thing is, if you don't have it and you have an allergic reaction to something like a bee sting or peanuts or cashew, you could die. That's it. You're gone. If you don't have that EpiPen, you're dead. These people aren't customers. They're hostages. That's wrong. But it gets worse. Not only did Mylan make a killing on EpiPen sales, making somewhere around $800 million in profit last year, but we also find out that the company itself is a tax dodger. The LA Times explains. Mylan is one of the leading exploiters of the technique known as corporate inversion, in which a U.S. company cuts its tax bill by acquiring a foreign firm and moving its tax domicile to the acquired company's homeland, in this case, Netherlands. Mylan's 2014 deal involved it buying a generics manufacturer from Abbott Laboratories and reincorporating in the Netherlands, the subsidiary's home. As in all inversions, nothing else changes. Mylan's operational headquarters remained in Pennsylvania, and its main workforce didn't relocate whatsoever. Well, at least there's that, right? Now, of course, corporate inversions are used by companies, as they pointed out, to lower their tax bills and save millions of dollars that end up going right back in their pockets, as well as at much lower tax rates than they have to pay here. Now I'll get to that. Now, companies claim that they need to do corporate inversions because corporate taxes in America, they're just too damn high. And they're so high they can't compete. But wait a minute. Klobuchar earlier said that, well, their operating costs, right, their costs when it comes to R&D, they don't have any, right? Manufacturing costs have remained stable, and Mylan doesn't need to recover the product's research and development costs. So it's not like they can't compete. And I'll get to their taxes, right? Now, before I get to their taxes, actually, as I've mentioned, they can make this incredibly cheap. The main ingredient in EpiPens is epinephrine, which is a generic drug that costs about $1. $1. So basically, they've got something that's pure profit at this point. So it's not that they can't compete, and it's also not about taxes. Now, the LA Times point out that Mylan's effective tax rate had only been 16.2% in 2013, 20% in 2012, and 17.7% in 2011. These are all the years that they were in the United States pre-inversion. They pay less than a middle-class family. Oh, our taxes are too high, we can't compete. Bullshit. No, what this whole thing is about, it's about money. Now, the money is where I get to the CEO, Heather Bresch. Now, it turns out that she took home over last year $18 million in executive compensation. $18 million. Now, that's actually a huge difference from 2007 when she had brought home just $2.5 million. That is effectively a 671% increase that started around the same time that her company began jacking up the price for EpiPens. She's literally taking that money from gouging people who need this medication to live and putting it in her pocket. It's sickening. And she's basically saying, haha, you need this medication and I'm the only game in town. So I can charge whatever the fuck that I like. And you're going to have to deal with it. You know why? It's because, as I pointed out yesterday, she has no competition. One of her main competitors was pulled by the FDA. It was AviQ, and then there's another competitor trying to get into the market that hasn't been approved by the FDA yet. So while they're waiting for that, Mylan is cashing in. And before you blame conservatives for this, I have to note that Heather Bresch is the daughter of Democratic Senator Joe Manchin. Now, Joe Manchin, not really a liberal. He's actually a centrist, corporatist Democrat. And apparently, the apple doesn't fall that far from the shit tree. These are the same people, the same politicians, that are fighting against single payer, against a public option, that would actually give the government the power to say to people, to companies like Mylan, hey, fuck you, we're not going to pay you $600 for a pack of 2 EpiPens. Lower your prices or else. They'll have that bargaining power that right now we don't have. In fact, if you ever wondered why our healthcare prices are so high, it's this. It's shit like this. This is a cause. Pharmaceutical companies that go, hey, you know what? I got this great idea. This medication that somebody needs, we'll jack up the price, we'll make millions of dollars. The CEO gets to pocket most of that. I mean, getting a 671% increase in executive compensation. That's insanity. On this medication, most of Mylan's profit comes exclusively, somewhere around 80% comes from EpiPens. In a single payer system, that wouldn't happen. In Medicare for All, that wouldn't happen. The government would have the ability to tell them to fuck off. That's why you don't see high prescription drug prices in a lot of other places, in places that have single payer. That's why you see generics available in places with single payer. We don't have that here. This is the problem, and single payer is the solution. Hey everybody, if you like this video, then please like this video and share. And if you want to see more like this, then please hit that subscribe button below.